Hey, today I'm talking about the last 3 official Sean Connery James Bond films, and their names are in order: Thunderball, You Only Live Twice, and Diamonds Are Forever. First up is Thunderball. This is a 1965 film, and the basic premise is a bit silly. Spectre? Yeah, Spectre. Or what's-his-face? Blofeld, one of the two. They have a convoluted plan in which they steal some nuclear bombs from the UN, or the EU. No, there's a UN official there. It's a test pilot. There's a test flight, and on this test flight, they're carrying 2 actual nuclear bombs. For some reason, I guess the plot demanded it, but sure, okay, whatever. Anyway, they steal them, and now we want them back, because obviously, and they're gonna do something with them. Bad, obviously. James has to stop them. Anyway, a lot of this movie takes place underwater, and I liked it a surprising amount. This was definitely the most consistent of the James Bond movies so far, that like, it knew what it was and just kind of stayed the course the entire time. And I was actually really surprised with how much I enjoyed the underwater stuff. I thought I really wouldn't care for it, but no, those action scenes were actually pretty good, like the last big, huge fight scene that happens underwater. And it was cool, it was fun. It's not something you've really seen before, or since. It's neat. I would honestly rank this above Dr. No, mostly for its consistency. I didn't like it quite as much as From Russia with Love, but it's still pretty good. I enjoyed it. I would honestly recommend this one. It's a pretty solid James Bond film. I enjoyed it. Next up is You Only Live Twice. Holy shit, it's a James Bond movie that I actually really liked. This one's great. If you were gonna watch any James Bond movies, I would say do this one. It's really good. It definitely has some faults that I will get into, but it is great. So the basic premise is, well, the title comes from James needs to die in order to stop Spectre from messing him up, meddling in his tasks. But the actual premise is an American astronauts were kidnapped in space by a mysterious object, and it may have come down somewhere near Japan. So James has to go to Japan and figure out what's going on. And this movie does so much stuff right. First off, the plot actually makes sense, and even though, yeah, it's big and kind of ridiculous, it's pretty logical, honestly, especially compared to a lot of the other ones. The action is so good. I was legit impressed with like every action scene. The effects were pretty solid, especially for the 60s. Like, 60s space stuff isn't gonna look great, but like, that's good, it's cool. They, for the first time, made because these movies are all in different foreign countries and stuff, but this one is in Japan, and it honestly feels like a big, almost a love letter. It really shows off how freaking cool Japan is, and just like showcase the neatness of their culture. Like, there was some sumo wrestling stuff in there. They didn't need to include it, but it was fun, it was neat. They also had 2 Bond girls who were Japanese. That was cool. Not just having like a tanned white person, tanned British person in the movie. No, it's an actual foreign, non-British Bond girl. And they were awesome. They were cool. They were actually like strong women, like smart. They saved Bond several times. And like, yeah, they were awesome. Yeah, no, I just had such a blast with this movie. I will say they did do the thing that happens in all James Bond movies where he gets captured at some point, and they were mostly good about him being able to get away in a reasonable way, but 2 times though, they just couldn't figure out how to write themselves out of that corner, so they just did some stupid stuff, and it was really annoying because everything else had been so smart up until that point. The big strike against this movie is that James does some yellow face. I yelled at my TV so much. I'm like, you were perfect. You were so good. Why do you have to ruin it with shit like this? Why? Whatever. Thankfully, it doesn't happen for that long, and like, honestly, the movie does such a good job of painting Japanese people in a positive light, or at least a realistic light, that it doesn't feel like they did this shit from a place of hate. So that's good, at the very least. But honestly, all of this movie's faults, except for the yellow face, I could easily forgive because this movie's so much fun. It's so great. It's a blast. I love it a lot. If you're gonna watch one Bond movie, watch this one. It's so good. And if you don't like this one, dear God, don't watch any of the other ones, because you are not in for a good time then. And lastly is Diamonds Are Forever. This is a 1971 film and the grand return of Sean Connery. He wasn't in Our Majesty's service because he had such a bad time making You Only Live Twice. But then they offered him a lot of money. He was like, all right, I'll come back. Fair enough. This one was okay. The basic premise is some bad guys want to steal some diamonds, but not directly, so they keep killing people in order to get them. I really didn't understand that part. And James is trying to figure out what the hell is going on. And Jimmy Dean is in this. He's actually really great. I loved him a lot. This one was fine. It was more run-of-the-mill, standard James Bond adventure stuff. He did lots of stupid things. It was fun at times. It was fine. The Bond girls were mostly interesting, not just boobs, so that's good. I don't know, I just wasn't that into it. Blofeld returned, and he was alright. They kind of did some interesting things with him, but it was also kind of ridiculous. I don't know. It threw me that he was an actor who was an ally in a different movie. Now he's playing the bad guy. I hate that. But yeah, I don't know. It's alright. It was fine. It's a liked. I liked it. Would I recommend it? There's other ones I'd recommend before this one. It's okay. Alrighty, now for today's ranking. First up, we got Thunderball sitting at number 114 in the quite like section. And then before that is You Only Live Twice, sitting at number 55 in the really like section. And then bringing up the rear is Diamonds Are Forever, sitting at number 168 in the liked category. And this is out of a total of 228 old movies so far this year. So just ranking just the 6 Sean Connery James Bond movies, the order would be, let me move to the side, at the bottom would be Goldfinger in the didn't like category, and then after that would be Diamonds Are Forever in the liked category, and then the next 3 are all in the quite likes. So at the bottom of the quite likes would be Dr. No, and then above that is Thunderball, and then a good chunk of the way is above that, but still in the quite like section, is From Russia with Love. And then my top favorite Sean Connery James Bond film in the really liked category, unequivocally favorite, is You Only Live Twice. There are, of course, the other 2 Sean Connery James Bond films, one being Never Say Never Again, it's the unofficial one, and then there's also The Rock, which is fan theorized to be a James Bond film, potentially. I have seen The Rock, and it's pretty good. I haven't seen Never Say Never Again. I might watch those one day, but today is not that day. So yeah, this is fun. I might do it with the other James Bonds, but who knows, because there's a lot of movies, and I don't know if they're gonna be better than this. So, yeah.